Tool. Give me some Tool, brother. Mother, please bring the Tool. Hello everybody, I am Lucas and today we are going to be checking out an album that has been anticipated for the past 13 years from Tool called Fear Inoculum. The last time Tool came out with an album was 2006. That was the year I graduated from high school. So yes, I'm old as shit now, and it has been a very long time since Tool has put out music. This album has been highly anticipated. It has been talked about for years, and yes, it is finally here. Now, was the 13-year wait worth it? That's what we're gonna find out. Let's talk about the album a little bit. The album art itself, it kind of looks like it's from 1995. It kind of looks like something you'd find on DeviantArt. I really don't like the font very much. It's like very retro, but hey, I guess that works for Tool. Now the actual title itself, Fear Inoculum. The title Fear Inoculum is very interesting because what an inoculum is it's something you usually treat soil with before you grow plants. And Maynard is a farmer. He has a winery where he grows things, so it kind of makes sense. So a Fear Inoculum, I guess it would be something you would add to Fear to make it even more potent so that it would grow better. I guess that's kind of what they're going for. So let's jump into the actual tracks of this album. So if you have the hard copy of the album, it doesn't have any of the transition songs on it. You only get the actual meat of the album. But if you have the digital version of it, you get all of the tracks with the different interludes and stuff that go on there, because like the album itself kind of ran really long. I'm just going to focus on the actual songs themselves. So the very first song on the album is the title track, Fear Inoculum, and it was a good track for Tool to release because it was the most well-rounded of their tracks, because a lot of the tracks on this album are very long. The shortest one is actually Chocolate Chip Trip, which is actually more or less like Danny's drum solo, and that's toward the end of the album. Fear Inoculum itself is just a little bit over 10 minutes. It starts off really quiet and it builds up, and it takes you on a very interesting journey. Now, a lot of the songs on this album do that. They went with a very progressive approach on this album. There's a lot of playing going on. They have a lot of like very quiet parts that happen, and it'll kick up, and you have like a lot of little drum things going on. Speaking of drums, Danny is fantastic on this album. As far as I'm concerned, he's pretty much a star of this album. He does lots of cool polyrhythms in Chocolate Chip Trip, which is actually one of my favorite songs on the album, because you kind of have like this like random noise going on in the background. He's just kind of going off, drumming, doing all kind of cool polyrhythm stuff, and it's really cool. It kept my attention throughout the whole way. Maynard, with his vocals, it's not very aggressive on this album. He takes a more of a, I don't say a lighter approach, but it's not very aggressive like we've seen in past Tool albums. It's also not as angry. The anger that Tool had in the 90s really isn't present that much in Fear Inoculum. The guitar work on here, it's pretty good. It's not, you know, a letdowner by any means. We have some solos that going on. I kind of just wish I would have had a little bit more riffs going through the album. And then Justin does a fantastic job with the bass. The Tool bass tone is definitely here. It's definitely alive. He keeps things very interesting all throughout the album. Some of my favorite songs on the album are Numa, which that one's really nice because it's one of the only tracks that doesn't take forever to kind of build up speed. Chocolate Chip Trip, like I said earlier, it's kind of a drum solo. That one's really awesome. And then I guess it's called Tempest. It's like 7 Impest. I don't know if I have a big enough brain to actually understand what it means, but those are my favorite tracks on the album. I really like Tempest because it takes you on this cool journey. We have a lot of playing in that song. That song is super proggy. You have a lot of cool polyrhythms, you have a lot of cool rhythms and riffs going on in there. But my main complaint about the album is I find it takes too long to take off in a lot of the songs. Like you have, it's nice and it's quiet, it's nice and it's quiet. Then it kicks up, and sometimes it goes back down and nice quiet. Then it'll kick up again. But some of the songs I find myself skipping. I'm tired of hearing this like nothing that's going on, so I would skip to where it would kick in, and then I found a lot of the time I was waiting for it to take off. I'm like, come on, let's go, let's take off, let's go, and it never really did that for me. It did it on a few songs, but I found a lot of the album boring. Yes, I know that's heresy. This is Tool. This is Big Brain. I just found it boring. A lot of it didn't really do it for me. It's like, I feel like we waited 13 years for 7 songs that are really long and boring. That's really what I feel like. I think this album also suffers from the fact that it took so long to come out. I mean, it's been hyped up for a very long time. If Tool would have came out with this album 6 years or even 7 years after 10,000 Days come out, I think it would be better in my mind's eye. But it's like I waited 13 years for this. And I'm kind of comparing it to 2 albums that came out recently. I've been listening to Knocked Loose and Shadow of Intent. Those albums slam. They're good. I know they're a different style, but they kept me interested. I just found a lot of this album was just kind of like, blah. It was like, blah. It was blah. Like, there's too much deadness in it. Now, you can have those little progressive parts where it gets really quiet, but I find they go on for too long. Maybe if you chop 2 and 3 minutes off of that, the songs might be better. I know I'm gonna get tons of hate from this in the comments, but I'm sorry. That's just kind of how I feel about it. The album is not bad. It's just I feel like it could have been better. I guess it's my overall impression of it is it was kind of boring. I mean, if you need something to put you to sleep at night, this album would be really good at it. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm about to do something I've never done for an album review. I'm gonna give this album 2 ratings. So my sober rating for this album, I'm gonna give it a 3 out of 5. It's a Tool album. It has 2 elements, but to me, it just doesn't really stand out that much. But if you get blasted out of your ass and super high, this album is a 5 out of 5. I feel like if I would have gotten super high and listened to the album some more and just kind of, you know, ingested it and felt it, man, it probably would have been super amazing. But my sober rating, I'm gonna have to give it a 3 out of 5. So, ladies and gentlemen, enough of my opinions, which I'm sure I'm going to be torn apart in the comments and told don't have ears and I'm stupid and I'm ruining my life and I should die. That's how I feel about the Tool album. I tried to push through it. I tried to have an open mind, but it just didn't grip me. What do you think about the album in the comments? I know longtime Tool fans are going to love this album. It's going to be great. And I'm happy for you. I'm happy that you really like it. To me, I would, you know, growing up, I listened to a lot of the Tool singles on the radio. I dabbled in a few of their albums because my friends had them. I really did like Tool, and I do like Tool. Just this album doesn't really do it for me. I'm sorry. What's your opinions on it? Let me know in the comments down below. So me, I'm gonna have to be out. Peace.